Today, in the 4th season, we really want to show you how stories are still being created. For example, the persistence and endurance of Yang Liwei, China's first taikonaut. But we also travel with an ordinary Chinese family as they experience the joy of a first trip across China on the high-speed railway. A vision that would have kept the thousands of visionary engineers and workmen focused during the construction phase of this major infrastructure project. Of course, we've also not forgotten the world of myth and ancient wisdom. We have one of the world's oldest love stories, Herd Boy and Weaving Maid, as well as the story of the mythical inventor of writing. Another of our stories also takes you to the moment when Li Bai had one of his moments of inspiration, while another of our stories takes us back again to one of China's earliest poets, Qu Yuan. Enjoy the stories and enjoy learning to tell them in English. 在第4季中，我们会向大家展示许多传奇故事，比如中国航天第一人杨利伟的故事，去感受他的坚毅和耐力。同时，我们还会跟一个普通的中国家庭一起旅行，享受第一次乘坐高铁的欢乐，并且讲述为实现这一愿景，科学家和工程师们付出的努力。当然，也少不了神话传说与古老智慧。首先是世界上最古老的爱情故事——牛郎织女的故事。也有关于神秘的文字发明者的故事。此外，我们还将带你们领略李白灵感迸发的时刻，以及认识中国最早的诗人之一屈原。好好享受这些故事吧，并且享受学习用英语讲这些故事吧。中国有许多神话的人物用来解释文明中的一些基本构建的发明。仓颉是其中之一，它被用来解释文字是如何被发明的。在这里，我们需要先来想一想文字的意义是什么。许多历史学家会告诉你们，文字是用来区分历史和史前的真正标志。在史前的新石器时代，许多关键的生活基础已经产生，包括农耕、畜牧以及在特定的范围定居等等。而区分石器时代和文明的因素，主要是文字的发明。没有文字，就不可能有历史，因为历史是超越人民记忆的记录。文字是跨代传递信息的关键，因为文字才能让我们知道过去发生了什么。文字也可以记录各种知识，比如中国丰富的中医药传统就来源于世代积累的智慧。我们在另外一个故事中看到了屠呦呦在研发疟疾药物的过程中，从1500年前的古书获得了灵感。只有通过文字，我们才能从过去几代人积累的经验中获得知识。换句话说，文字是人类快速进步的重要前提。通过阅读，每一代人都可以快速学习上一代人的经验，而不用花时间再从零开始。也正是因为文字是历史的先决条件，所以不能在文字被发明之前准确定义人物和时间。这个意味着文字的发明从逻辑上讲，在它写出来的时候就已经被发明了，这就注定它会一直被笼罩在神秘当中。但仓颉这个人物尽管充满了神秘色彩，却象征着人类文明史的一大步。仓颉代表了人类的心灵手巧，它还代表了最古老的书写系统——汉字的开端。到今天，汉字仍在被使用。好的，那我们现在来读一读 我们这本书关于仓颉的故事，我会读一下它的英文版本。好，我们开始吧。仓颉 creates writing. Back in the mists of time, the Yellow Emperor, chief of the Huaxia tribe, encountered a problem and summoned his ministers into a council to discuss it. He said, "This year we have a bumper harvest. You gentlemen, through your diligence and courage, have filled the sacrificial animal pens with captured beasts and the storehouses with grain. Both these resources are continuously increasing, and I want to find some way of recording both the number of captured animals and the amount of grain." As soon as the Yellow Emperor put this question to them, the ministers came up with suggestions. One said, "Why do we need a new method? We can continue to use the old one with numbers of knots to represent the amounts of captured animals and grain on different ropes for each resource." He was immediately contradicted by another minister who said, "That method long ago proved to be useless. The numbers of captured animals and the amounts of grain are increasing every year. How can ropes cope with this? Moreover, how can ropes distinguish among the different kinds of animals?" Another chimed in with, "That's right. The rope method is not only crude, it's also inconvenient. This year, we have captured 30 wild pigs, and that requires 30 knots on a rope. As far as I'm concerned, that's too much trouble. We'll have to find someone to tie them." The first minister retorted, "You say that this method is no good? Well, think up a good one." The other ministers fell silent. At this moment, out of the ranks of the ministers stepped a man of remarkable appearance. His name was Cang, the Yellow Emperor's historiographer. He was unusual inasmuch as he had 4 eyes, another set of 2 above the normal pair. Because of this feature, he was shunned by the other ministers and never entrusted with important tasks. None of the others thought he would come to the fore at this moment. "Cang, what is your suggestion?" asked the Yellow Emperor, glancing casually at Cang. "After much careful thought, Your Majesty," replied Cang, "I have come up with a different method. First, I want to ask everyone here how, when we go hunting, we normally know whether we are on the track of wild goats, tigers, or deer." "By their footprints, of course," the ministers answered in chorus. "The tracks of wild goats, tigers, and deer are all different." Cang continued, "If wild animals can be identified by their tracks, these imprints can be used to represent the different animals. So all we have to do is to invent symbols to represent all the various things in the universe, and thereby solve Your Majesty's problem. If we capture 30 wild pigs, we can use one sign to represent a wild pig and another to represent the number 30. In the same way, we can represent the sun, the moon, stars, rivers, mountains, birds, and beasts, all with separate signs." The others highly praised Cang's idea and thereupon applied it to make symbols for many things, resulting in writing. In this way, one of the world's earliest writing systems, Chinese characters, was born. The moral of this story. The legend of Cang inventing writing is mythological. Chinese characters were not created by Cang alone. He probably only undertook the task of regulating and recording them. The invention of Chinese characters marked the beginning of Chinese civilization. Thanks to the writing system, the wisdom of the Chinese race has been passed down from generation to generation. Okay, so let's do some recitation practice now. And in this class, we're going to look at the passage where Cang explains what writing is all about and how he got inspiration from the tracks of animals. In this passage, we will practice reflecting with our voice 2 aspects of Cang's emotion at this moment. The first is his excitement at having discovered such an incredible solution to a problem. On the other hand, we also have to reflect his calm and patience as he restrains himself to explain it to the Yellow Emperor and his courtiers. 好的，咱们接下来做一些诵读练习。在这堂课，我们来示范的段落是关于仓颉解释文字，以及他如何从动物足迹获得了灵感这个段落。那么在这里，我们将要用声音反映仓颉情感的2个方面。首先，他对于找到问题解决绝佳方案的兴奋；另外，在他强认知向皇帝以及朝臣解释的时候，我们也要反映他的沉稳和耐心。好，我们来听一听这个段落。我们 Let's listen to the passage. Cang continued. If wild animals can be identified by their tracks, these imprints can be used to represent the different animals. So all we have to do is to invent symbols to represent all the various things in the universe and thereby solve Your Majesty's problem. If we capture 30 wild pigs, we can use one sign to represent a wild pig and another to represent the number 30. In the same way, we can represent the sun, moon, stars, rivers, mountains, birds and beasts, all with separate signs. As we recite the first sentence of Cang speech, we need to reflect how the conditional clause is both reflecting the excitement of Cang extrapolating from animal tracks to symbols and his enthusiasm as he explains it to those around him. 我们在念仓颉说的第一句话的时候，我们需要体现出仓颉从动物足迹中推断符号的兴奋，也需要体现他向周围的人解释的时候的热情。If wild animals can be identified by their tracks, these imprints can be used to represent the different animals. We then continue the rest of the passage in a similar way. Let's listen to the whole passage again. 之后，我们也需要继续以这种方式完成朗诵，让我们再听一遍完整的段落。Cang continued, If wild animals can be identified by their tracks, these imprints can be used to represent the different animals. So all we have to do is to invent symbols to represent all the various things in the universe and thereby solve Your Majesty's problem. If we capture 30 wild pigs, we can use one sign to represent a wild pig and another to represent the number 30. In the same way, we can represent the sun, moon, stars, rivers, mountains, birds and beasts, all with separate signs. Okay, that's about it for today's class. Bye for now. 好的，我们今天的课就到此为止，再见。